Hey everybody, in this video we're going to be talking about Stephen King's 1977 novel, The Shining. My friend Noah is going to be showing you what to look for when trying to identify first US and first UK editions of this classic, rare, hard to find, and valuable book.
Hey guys, so today we are going to look at the first US trade edition of The Shining. The book was published in 1977 by Doubleday. This is the first trade edition. The first thing to notice about this one is the dust jacket features full wraparound artwork, which is not the case with the book club edition. The book club edition has a sort of darker green spine that does not have this wraparound artwork element. So if your copy does not have this full wraparound artwork, you most likely have a book club edition. The second thing to look at with this one is the price on the jacket, which is $8.95. Underneath the letters TS, which stand for The Shining. Okay, the book itself is bound in a sort of mustard yellowish colored board with a quarter cloth binding and gold foil stamping on the spine. You can see there. So if your book does not have this quarter binding, it is, again, most likely a book club edition. Okay, so inside the book, if you want to look for edition and printing, if you look at the copyright page, it'll say first edition down here, with no other indication of printing on the copyright page. Like the other Doubleday books of the 70s, there is a printing code in the gutter of page 447. I'm going to try to make this as visible as I can. So that printing code is R49 right there. Okay. The R stands for 1977, and the 49 stands for the 49th week of 1977. So we are looking at, what is that, last week of November, first week of December, somewhere in there. So the book was published the very end of 1977. So if you have an S number, if that printing code starts with an S, you're looking at 1978. And if the number, the subsequent number will apply to the week of 1978. So there were later printings of the book later on during the following year. So again, the salient points here are the wraparound jacket artwork, the price on the inside flap, the quarter binding on the spine, and the printing code of R49 in the gutter of the last page of the novel. So there you have the first trade, US trade edition of The Shining. Okay, and now we're going to take a peek at the first UK trade edition of the book. This is The Shining. This is the first British hardcover edition, which was published by New English Library. The book has, in my opinion, far inferior artwork than the American edition. Here's a side-by-side view. I mean, this maybe doesn't indicate what the book is about, but it's a little bit better than this sort of two-tone drawing of Danny with the red eyes. I don't know. But anyway, just my opinion. So the jacket has the same artwork on the back. And if you're looking for important points to see whether your copy is a first edition, you're going to look for the price of £4.95 UK. There on the bottom right side of the front flap. The book itself is features a plain black board binding with gold foil stamping on the spine. And the copyright page will have first published in Great Britain by New English Library in 1977 here, with no further indication of printing. So if the copyright page looks like that, you have a first printing of the book. And that's really, the important points to look out for. This one also has the ISBN printed at the bottom of the, underneath the colophon in the back, on the back of the flap, at the bottom there. And that is, the British first edition of The Shining. Really, not a ton of stuff to look out for. So if you have a book that looks like that, it's probably a first edition, assuming you've got the price printed, right? So you want to look out for the BCA edition, which is the British Book Club, which would not have a printed price here on the jacket flap. Anyway, that is the UK trade edition of The Shining.
Thank you very much to Noah for showing those beautiful books. As far as I'm concerned, and somebody may be able to prove me wrong, but as far as I've seen, Noah's copy of The Shining is the most perfect and most pristine and pretty copy that exists anywhere in the world. Now, my copy is not a first edition. It is an authentic Doubleday with a wraparound jacket. And what I've always seen, this copy is decent, but there's fading on the spine, particularly in the yellow around The Shining. And what always blows my mind, knocks me out when I see pictures or video of Noah's Shining, is how dark and bold and vivid that spine is. Until I saw pictures of his copy of The Shining, I just assumed that they were all printed, like that was just part of the art, is that the spine gets a little bit more faded. But Noah's copy has actually proven what the book did look like, what it should look like. But anyway, thank you very much, Noah, for sharing that. So over the last few years, I've really buckled down and made it my goal to read every Stephen King book. And I'm almost there, but the first one that I read was Carrie, and the second one that I read when I was a young teenager, 12 or 13, tweenish maybe, was The Shining. And it scared the hell out of me. I remember it scaring the hell out of me. I still remember that from when I was a kid. And it's really interesting to me because at that point when I read it, the character that I identified most with was Danny, because I was closer to his age. I still remembered what it felt like to be that age and to be completely dependent on adults, on mom and dad, to make things happen. Even if you feel bad about something, or a little worried or scared or trepidation about a move or an activity, if that's what mom and dad say we have to do, then you have to do it. I related to Danny at that point, and when I reread the book in the last couple of years, my own son is now around the age of Danny, and what struck me most is how much I identified with Jack. I didn't think that I would going into it, but the book holds up to repeated readings. It drew me in. It scared me. It scared me as much as it did when I was 12, but it in a different way somehow. And I found myself identifying with Jack, and I wasn't prepared for that. But it was wonderful. And in some ways, my favorite Stephen King book is the last one that I read. That's not always the case. I mean, I read Rose Matter, and while it was the most recent in my mind, I wasn't like, this is my favorite Stephen King book. I thought, I hate this Stephen King book. Screw this Stephen King book. This Stephen King book makes me so mad. That's not always the case. But first favorite Stephen King book was Carrie. And then years later, I read The Green Mile, and that was my favorite Stephen King book for a little while. And then when I read The Stand, the complete and uncut edition, I was convinced that I would never read a better book in my whole life. And then years later, I read It, and then It became my favorite Stephen King novel of all time. And then I did my reread of The Shining, and I have to say, really, hands down, it's close. There's a lot of quality stuff at the top of the Stephen King heap. But for me, The Shining is my favorite Stephen King novel of all time. At some point, I may reread The Stand, I may reread It, and then those will once again be my favorites. But for right now, my number one Stephen King book of all time is The Shining. And part of that is my amazement and my wonder and my appreciation of the fact that it resonated so deeply with me at two completely different points in my life. To me, that's the mark of something really special. It spoke to me as a kid and really moved me, and it spoke to me as an adult and again really moved me, but for completely different reasons that had nothing to do with nostalgia. Like, oh, I loved this when I was a kid, and that means I'm going to try really hard to love it as an adult. No, it held up in both scenarios, but for different reasons. And I think that's the mark of something truly special. And I'm not a historian in the horror genre necessarily, but as far as haunted house books go, haunted house stories go, The Shining is definitely one of my favorites. But as far as Stephen King novels go, The Shining is my number one favorite. So I could just keep gushing in this way probably forever. So I'll go ahead and end this one. Thanks again to Noah for your help in producing these videos, creating content, and showing off your amazing collection. And thank you very much to you for watching, for supporting the channel, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time and for your support. And wherever you are, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye.